Fielding is one of the less glamorous part of cricket, but actually the great reality is it can produce many game-changing opportunities. So let's get to know more about fielding from one of the main top coaches in India, Coach C.D. Thompson, who was a part of the Ranji team, Andhra Ranji team, and who has the experience of coaching different teams for more than 30 years. And he's also specialized in batting, wicket keeping, and fielding. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijay. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Sir. Yes, sir. And we are honored to have your presence. So, sir, let me come to straight to the point. Like I said in the beginning, fielding was considered to be a less glamorous activity in the cricket, but nowadays it shows that it can produce a better game. What do you look for in a good fielder, sir?
You rightly pointed out, Vijay, that fielding used to be a part of team setups, which was just an activity they did or they conducted when there was some time to spare. The modern generation of thing has added fielding as a specialization skill. So going forward, we have seen teams now have specialist fielding coaches, and they are taking fielding as an aspect that's also a skill like batting, bowling, or wicket keeping. With regards to your question of what do I look for in a good fielder, I think one of the most important things that when I look for a good fielder is I look at something which I call great hands. You know, when I say great hands, I mean to say the ability to connect his hands or take his hands where his eyes want them to be or where he wants his hands to be based on his judgments or assessments of how fast or how low or how high the ball is coming. So one of the first things that I look at is this ability of what I call great hands. Second, I think the ability that I look for when I look for in a fielder is I see reflexes. How quick is he reacting? How quick is he reacting to be able to catch the ball? How quick is he moving from his static position into a position that lets him get into, give him a chance to either take a catch or run out a fielder. The other thing that I look for, again, I say is prime athletic ability. That includes various things like speed and and agility and these factors. So when you look at an overall fielder, because fielding includes running, stopping, jumping, diving, changing direction. So this part of him is so important to have athletic ability. It's also important that he have a lot of reflexes, and as I started in the beginning, the ability to have good hands. But the most important, if I have to put it down to one most important thing, and I think that is the ability, or rather showing intent and really wanting to be a part of the action that is happening on the ground. I think when I put it in a simple way, I say that every fielder who wants to be involved right throughout, every fielder who wants every ball to come to him, those are the fielders that I think are the game changers, the guys who will affect that run out or take that particular catch that will set the team or the opposition team on the back foot.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, you said like many different qualities for which a fielder should have or he should possess. And how can you make a better fielder now?
Yeah, very important question. I think the most important thing that we need to look at uh, when getting a good fielders is that you can become a good fielder by practicing your fielding. But most importantly, I think if you want to become an excellent fielder, I think you've got to look at the fitness component of it. Fitness and fielding, they both go hand in hand. So I think a fielding coach's best friend should be the fitness trainer, the strength and conditioning coach, because there is a direct correlation between both. The stronger you get, the quick, the faster you get, the quicker you move, the more agile your activities are, the more efforts you can put into your fielding. So I would say the very first thing what you should do is get yourself a good fitness trainer. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Two, uh, second most important thing that I think most of us really want to work on is what is this position? Observe the greats of fielding. Somebody like a Jonathan Rhodes earlier, like a Jadeja now, okay, like a Suresh Raina in the past, like a Yuvraj Singh. just to name a few of these guys, Virat Kohli, they all just raised the bar of standing, and they all had very some things in common. Whenever they approached a ball, you would always find them like their head and everything was steady and they were fixated on a target. If I may just throw some parallels, you look at it in this way. If you see in our National Geographic and all these other places, you see a tiger or a cheetah approaching its prey, and you see the way it stays low. Its head is fixed on the target, or and it stays low and it's ready to pounce or change direction on how the prey reacts. I think one of the key aspects what fielders need to do is this ability to stay low, and also when you're staying low, also accessing the power points from the ground. When we talk about power points, it's nothing but the balls of the feet, because the transfer of power or the force that comes in from the ground through your legs, you can access those points best when your weight is on the balls of your feet. So in fielding, the prime aim is, can you make that first step quickest, change direction quicker than the other? Those few microseconds will help you cover those few yards in the end. So the ability to stay low, the ability to stay on the balls of your feet, number two, and most importantly, also ensure that your trainer trains you in those functional movements and involves your training where those movements are reaction, like you're going sideways at a diagonal, you're coming forward, you're running back, or you're absolutely running side. Your training includes those factors, which will only add to your fielding component. Use these three things and you will definitely become a quicker, faster fielder.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. From this, I'm pretty much sure that to be a better fielder, you need a lot of practice. And how do you ensure that the practice is that scenario is converted into the match also, match results?
Yeah, a fantastic question, Vijay. The drills in a way, the more similar related. For example, the positions, like for example, point, covers, midwicket, long off, on, deep mid, various, and to take those type of catches at those angles, whether up, down, low, high, left or right, a lot of them, which sort of replicate a match scenario. I think the first thing is that's the responsibility of a fielding coach comes in, to set up all those particular drills that they're as close to the match situation as possible.
Okay.
Number two, what you actually need to do is learn how to relax between the balls in the matches. When we say relax between the balls in the matches, what we are trying to say is that you have a period of focus where your attention is totally on the batter, on the situation, on the match. Okay. And then you have a period when the ball goes back to the ball, and that's the time you've just got to switch down a bit. I think the key component here is to have a switch up and a switch down rather than to be switched on and switched off. So basically you just switch off after the game is over. So just raise your intensity and lower it a bit. So that will help you manage your mental workload and be there for a longer period of time. So this is the second thing. Other thing is, train yourself again on anticipation. I think one of the key factors that all good fielders have is their ability to anticipate. And my belief is that this anticipation can be trained. Right? So when I say anticipation can be trained, now you should be able to pick up the cues that are coming in from the batter. For example, if a batter's footwork, when he takes a foot, if it's closed a little towards covers, you know the ball can go somewhere between covers and point. So you have an idea now which
Yeah.
range the batsman is trying to play. So the first cue you get is with his footwork, right? Second, you get like what sort of a batsman is he? Primarily, is he an aggressive batsman? What is he looking to do? What are the strokes that he's trying to play? What you have picked up from the prior knowledge that you have about him. And third and most importantly, what sort of a bowler is bowling? Is he an outswing bowler? So if at all the ball middles, it should come to your thick outer edge, should go to your left or right. So those aspects, what are the team's plans? The bowler, what sort of a bowler is he? The batsman, what indication he's giving you from his footwork, and a brief idea about what the batter is trying to do. If you keep studying this and you keep working on that, you will definitely improve your anticipation. Now, this anticipation gives you that indication of how you can move quicker into that left or right position. So when you train, even in the match or even in practice situations, if a coach can anticipate hitting the ball, driving the ball, or cutting it, rather than just giving one-handed catches, you will find to a large extent that players are improving their anticipation, and by pointing them towards that particular aspect, they will get better at it over a period of time, right? The
Yeah.
other thing that sometimes we do tend to get pressurized in a match, and why we see simple catches being dropped or balls being fumbled, which generally does not happen in practice, is that people should remember that there's one key aspect that's moving in the game, and that is the ball. Only the ball is moving, the stumps are stationary. So generally, what when people are under pressure and the batsman is crossing over and taking runs, you do find that people take their eyes off the ball for that fraction of a second, and that's where a fumble happens. So training the player to watch the ball and receiving the ball in his hands, both consciously and subconsciously, and repeating it an X number of times will ensure that those fumbles are reduced or eliminated. And the other aspect is when we are taking catches, focusing on good catching technique, focusing on getting close to the ball, focusing on receiving the ball at the base of the fingers that allows the ball to close, allows your palm to close around the ball beautifully. Remembering that feeling and trying to duplicate it in practice, so that when you're in the match, your mind is automatically giving you those signals that you need to be able to get into the right position in it. And finally, remember, it's about receiving the ball rather than grabbing it or catching it. Okay, the process should be to use whatever shock absorbers you've got by allowing the ball a soft descent into your hand. I think that's the key factor when you go forward as you train. So I think by keeping these in mind, players will definitely be able to convert what they do in practice, as I said earlier, do the drills which are more match related, and keep these points in mind as you go forward, and you will be able to convert your practice training into the match.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one last question. From your experience, what are the top tips you can give for a fielder or a player who is trying to get a better fielder?
Fantastic question, and I would just like to share my viewpoints on this. Uh, Most important, I think, point number one: whenever you hit the ground, make sure you're hitting the ground to have fun. You're not looking at it as a pressure to do well, rather than a challenge to go out and give your best and test your own self about how you did better or try to improve what you did compared to the earlier match. So remember, fun or along with accepting the challenge. Don't worry about the outcome or the results. Focus on the process of what you want to do. Point number two for me is always think of fielding as not a defensive unit but a part of the attack. If a fielder thinks of himself as a part of the attack, believe me, he definitely is going to be more aggressive, more intent on the ball. You will see more dives, more sliding, and creating so much of pressure on the opposition. So think of yourself as a part of the attack. Third point that I say is you don't necessarily need to be the captain of the team. You can be your own zonal captain. If you're standing in covers, maybe the fielder to your left, the mid off, and the point, you become your own captain for two of them or for that particular zone. So you see what is the best position based on the match and make those minor adjustments left and right that will allow you to be more efficient and effective in the game. Right? So by when you're a zonal captain, you're automatically involved. Next, learn to back up or attack balls in pairs or even the third person if possible. Right? So you're chasing a ball. If the ball goes to mid off and you're at covers, make sure you follow the fielder there and try and get and assist him because he may just have time to bring it in and you may need that help at a later stage. So always train yourself to work in pairs, keep working in pairs, right? Another part that I think is practice hitting the stumps. Unless you keep practice hitting the stumps and keep getting better at hitting the stumps, remember, even if there is one run out and one chance that you get, it's out of 11 fielders on the time. In one match, you may get one chance to run out a batsman. So if you say each fielder gets one match and one chance, that's every 10 matches you get one chance and you've got to hit the stump. So hitting the stumps we have seen on television, generally the batsman is out by a millimeter. So practice hitting the stumps, and that's the only way to go forward, right? The other thing that you need to do is to back up all the throws that come. Whatever throws are coming from whichever angle, you either be the first guy backing it up, or if the ball is deflecting off the stumps or any such thing, be the second guy backing up. But be in a position to back up all the throws. And finally, I'd like to leave you with one point is make sure you understand the ground, the circumference of the ground, how the wind is blowing, what are the angles you need to cut to be able to reach the ball faster. Okay, so you need to work on those angles, and most of these angles are decided by a couple of things. One, your judgment of the speed of the ball, the outfield, how fast the outfield is, right? And what angle you need to take your first step. So just keep these in mind. I know it's a lot, but if you do pay attention to what we said, you shall definitely turn out to be that quicker fielder, that fielder that every captain dreams of.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. By this, I'm pretty much sure the fielding is not just catching the ball and throwing at the stumps. It's much more than that. Thank you, sir, for your valuable opinions. Thank you for sparing your time with us. And I wish you all the best to bring more successful players into the cricket field. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You always reach out if you have anything. We're available to share. I guess when we share something and something comes from the front, we both go back with 2 points. So
Sure.
I've got an open mind, and I'd like to hear your comments on this. Thank you.
Sure, sir.